Welcome to Overtime the Podcast, a show dedicated to all things watches, with a special love for Microbrands and their affordable range. I'm your host Praka, and some of you might know me as Kinda Average Watches. Join me as we explore new releases, share tips on building your collection, and put in some overtime with hands-on reviews of the latest watches. Whether you're a bit of a pro or you're just getting into the hobby, this podcast will keep you entertained with great stories from the people in the industry, casual conversations, and guest hosts who bring their own unique perspectives. Let's get started. Welcome to Overtime the Podcast, proudly sponsored by Watchpoint. James, how you going?
I'm doing very well, and you'll probably see from my clothing choices that I'm quite excited to represent Australia in a bit of an Aussie watch episode.
That is right. That's correct. I've also whipped out my Socceroos here as well. World Cup is coming up, and of course, the green and gold is out for this episode. So, yes, pretty obvious from the title and what we're going to be doing and talking about today. We're going to be talking about Australian microbrands. Australian brands, I'm going to say Australian microbrands. There might be one in there that, you could argue if is that a microbrand or what. In any case, it's going to be a bit of a highlight of maybe some recent releases from these brands, some maybe not as recent, but I think it'll just be cool to highlight some of the really awesome stuff that's happening down under.
Australia seems to be quite a good spot for watches. I even saw a video the other day, Mark from Long Island Watch, he was talking about how he's quite impressed by just how much is coming out of Australia. So it's nice that it's not just us seeing it. It's the world is starting to see, especially when we're focusing on micros as well. It's quite cool actually to know that so many people from our physically large country but relatively low population realistically are so keen to get their own designs out there.
Definitely. This is going to be a special episode for us. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, what's on your wrists, James?
Well, I had 3, but I don't have 3 wrists. I've actually got an idea about that, how to possibly squeeze 2 into 1, but that's a different topic. But of course, we're talking Australian brands today, and there's one that we've currently been lent from second hour, so I'm trying to squeeze out as much wrist time as I can before we can have to send these back. And it's the Mark III second hour Gin Clear, which honestly, it's one of these watches which I put it on. I thought, I really like that. But the more I'm wearing it, the more it's even growing on me. And it's actually, out of all the watches that I sort of wear, it's been pointed out by a few people by thinking, what's that? And nobody ever asked that. And even my brother said, do you think you could get me a discount on one? I like that. And he's never said that to me either.
It's funny that I had the exact reaction from a friend who was interested in getting a grey dial diver, and which is, I guess I should just say, I am also wearing the second hour Gin Clear Mark III, which is due to be released soon, that we've been lent kindly to check out. And yes, it will be going back soon. So yes, we're definitely trying to get more wrist time on it. And yeah, he said the same thing to me. He goes, I wonder what can you get it for, And I said, well, I don't know yet. Let me see. I can ask if you really like. So, but anyway, joking aside, fantastic watch. And look, we'll get into the Gin Clear a little bit into the episode. There's something a bit special that we'll do. But I think we'll kick it off with, actually, no, we only talked about one of your wrists. Where's your other wrist? Yeah, give me that.
Well, the other one I really wanted to put on my Erebus Ascent 39 Black Helix, which I've actually just put onto this brand new Vario strap. They've just started releasing these premium leather straps, and I've always liked their straps, but that's freaking awesome. But I couldn't because I can't take this one off. It arrived yesterday, and it's a German watch, which is not very Australian, obviously, for an Australian episode, but it's a brand which we've chatted to recently, which I think, I'm not sure of the order of when you're going to release these, but you'll get to hear from the brand owner. It's called Audoin. He's French, but he lives in Germany, and this one's called the Stromlinie, and I know I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but it's awesome. As soon as we finished speaking to them, I remember I messaged you just after we'd finished having a chat to the brand owner and said, I think I might need to buy one of these.
Yeah.
And obviously I did. Well, yeah. Super cool. I'm sure Praka will leave in the notes of the episode a link, and very funky watch, and I'm happy that I now own.
I'm not sure again on the order of release, but definitely something that is special, and it's cool to see such a bespoke watch coming out of, it is. I'm not going to spoil any more than that. You will have to listen to the episode and check it out because it is an awesome story. and James, he couldn't help himself, had to buy himself one. So there
I
you go.
really couldn't help myself. I already liked it, but then we spoke to him, and then the story and how much involvement, it got me.
So we're done. Okay, well, that's wrist checks out of the way. Let's get into the episode. So the very first watch we wanted to talk about, or I guess brand we wanted to highlight, is I feel like this brand is out now in public. People know this brand, Erebus. Erebus, which is the brand of Jody and Stephen. So Jody being Jody, Just One More Watch. They released some pretty cool stuff. I think they're doing pretty well from what I can see in all the pages. And today we're talking about their latest release, which is the 24.
I'm so happy and impressed with how successful they've been, because obviously I think people love Jody, and he honestly, if it wasn't for his channel, I wouldn't have started a YouTube channel. It was sort of one of my things that sort of pushed me to think about it. But it's so nice that it's not just a YouTuber's done a watch and it's done okay. It's I can foresee this being more the primary role for him over even the channel, and he's doing things the way that he wants to do it. He's creating a watch for the masses, people that it's relatively affordable, something different. I love my Erebus Ascent. It's not going anywhere. And I got to get hands on with the prototypes of the 24, and you got to see them. I think when I had them, got to have a quick look.
It was awesome. It's just something unique, isn't it? Like having a field watch with a twist, really. And I think the complication when let's talk about this first. For those who haven't seen, of course, all the links will be in the show notes. This is a field watch with, when you change the time, or the time ticks over 12 o'clock, it goes from 12 to 24. You get your day and night, so it's like military time. I know some people were saying, oh, well, technically it shouldn't say 12, it should say 00, but whatever. It's cool.
That doesn't bother me at all. I think the complication's perfect for a field watch, because it literally, like the military time, it works with field watches. Plus, for me, also, it gives it something extra, because I like field watches, but I never really connect with them because I think they're a little bit too tooly for me. I sort of need something a little bit extra, and this is definitely something a little bit extra. It's more than a little bit extra. It's a completely different way of adjusting things. So it's fun and it's interesting. It's different, and I've already ordered I've got the contour version, which I think is even the more fun version.
Nice, and that's that looks really cool.
Like a topographical map, but it's in like shadowy, so it's not in your face.
Yeah.
But again, like Erebus, there's so many options. Wow, they pump out the options.
I was just looking at all the SKUs. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. There's 20 different SKUs for the same model. So,
2 sizes, multiple colors, different displays, different textures on the dial.
You got so many options. I would I actually like the blue quite a lot. Yeah. The contour is also really nice. I also like the brown dial a little bit as well. Makes it look a bit Hamilton. Some of those older Hamilton khakis, they've got like a brown shade. Don't know why it reminds me of that, but I think it's just a well-designed watch with a different complication. You can get field watches, I know, dime a dozen, but this is just something a bit different, and it is supporting an Australian brand. So, yeah.
Interesting. It's interesting to see, because we look at them online, but which ones have sold out, because they're still in the sort of pre-order phase, aren't they? And in both, it's the Shadow Erebus logo version is sold out, which is like this oversized, that Erebus, the E and the B logo, which I don't think everybody went, I don't like that one. But then that's the one that's sold out in both size variations.
I would not have thought that would have been sold out, if I'm being honest. I thought it would have been the other ones. Anyway, it's that's the thing. Sometimes you can never predict which color is going to be the hit or which model is going to be the hit. And I think many brand owners have told us that in the past. So cool. Well, check it out. Something cool. We'll move on to the next Australian microbrand that we want to talk about. Now, this one is the second hour. So obviously what we've got on our wrists, we're going to talk about the new Mark III that's being released May 22nd. I will do best endeavors to get this episode out by that date so that everyone can, get it on, know about it before the launch. We thought we would do something a little bit different for this episode, and we actually had a pre-recording with Peter. We had a bit of a chat with Peter Sargison, the owner of the brand, who went through some of the different changes between the Mark II and the Mark III, some of the things that make it really special, and also his trip to the manufacturing facilities, his manufacturing partners as well that he's recently embarked on. In fact, when I recorded it, he was over in China, so it was worked out. Our time zones worked out perfectly. Without further ado, we will transition through the magic of editing from this episode into the pre-recorded chat with Peter. So Peter,
Hi.
long time no see. How you going?
Yeah. It was March last year, I believe, that we last spoke in this format.
That's right. That's right. Over a year. It does feel like the time has flown by, but it's always good to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. We want to talk about your newest release, of course, and I've had the pleasure of handling 2 different variants of the newest release, which is Gin Clear Mark III. I've got the Rhodium grey right here on my wrist. Beautiful.
I've been wearing this today.
Nice.
I wear it on black leather, actually. I just took it off so that I can hold it in front of me and talk about what's new and what's improved.
Yeah, fantastic. So let's start with the Gin Clear model itself, right? So for those who don't know, the Gin Clear model from Second Hour is your pure dive watch option, right? It does everything that a good dive watch should do, but just like your other models, you've iterated, you've improved on it, you've changed things, you've listened, you've heard feedback, you've decided that you can do things better, and now you've got the Mark III. How long was the gap between the Mark II and the Mark III?
Yeah, the Mark II came out. I think we opened pre-orders in September and shipped in October, November 2023. So
okay.
about 2.5 years.
2.5?
Yeah, it's a bit longer than we would have liked. Production issues led to the actual complete end-to-end production taking a year, although the parts were all ready to go a short while ago, a couple of months ago. But then we had a last minute issue with some of the custom date wheels because the date wheels on them are custom printed. They have custom colors, custom font, and some of them came through and we were in the process of assembling them, ready to bring them in for inspection and sending out to our retail partners. So fulfilling our wholesale orders, and a call to say, oh, look, there's an issue. Some of the date wheels, the printing on them isn't quite perfect. So there was a delay of another few weeks. But yeah, it took a while to bring to life, and these things just seem to happen more regularly now because there are such a profusion of brands all using, there's a huge number of manufacturers. Not all of them operate in the higher end of quality, the higher scale of quality. But, so we're set back by, some parts like the aluminium bezel was very hard to get right. We actually used 3 different suppliers to find one that could get the color quality right, get the finishing quality right, and the color of the triangle at 12 on the 2 aluminium bezels. We struggled with getting that color just right. And so we had some failed attempts with some other suppliers. And in the end, we found one cost a lot more, but we had to do it because we just wanted it to look as good as it possibly could. And, you can see it in photographs. If you get in even on the map, it really shows up beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking down, of course, at the watch itself, and I can definitely see that, it's definitely worth the time and the effort to get that color on the bezel matching. Really looks the part.
And even the ceramic bezel, the ceramic inlays on the 2 ceramic inlay models, they are actually from a new supplier as well, and they have a higher polish and luster to them, and it's just beautiful to look at. So yeah, it was a challenging production, considering that the very first production, because we did sort of 2 productions of the Gin Clear Mark II to continue supply, but the very first production of the Gin Clear Mark II, we knocked that over in kind of 3.5 months, and this one took pretty much a year end to end.
Wow. The challenges came from obviously trying to achieve that higher quality on your watch, as well as also the manufacturing partners, right, getting it right.
Yeah, and we found a new partner to make the case back, and the case backs. Yeah, but this guy he's touted as the best in the business, and we went there yesterday. Some of the brands I saw he makes for Bremont. He makes for. I didn't take pictures. They're pretty loose and fast about these things. They'll show you all this stuff. They'll let you take pictures, but they'll say, don't publish them anywhere. But, I draw a bit of a line because I think, well, how would I like it if my brand was sort of,
Yeah.
people were sharing pictures of seeing my brand there and all that sort of stuff. So, I saw a lot of high-end brands specs in his workshop. And that's the same in all the places I'm currently visiting. You see huge numbers of Swatch Group parts. See Tissot and Mido and those guys being made here. And Longines, actually, that was another brand he had his case back. He was doing some Longines case backs.
There you go. So before I let you carry on, to let the audience know, Peter's currently in China on a work trip. He's visiting his various partners, various manufacturing partners in China, and hence why we just spoke about the case back manufacturer and him being one of the best. I'm looking at the case back right now of the Gin Clear, and it's awesome. The turtle, the different layers, the texture. Yeah, it just looks the business. So I can definitely see why so many companies do decide to go with this guy. And obviously the Gin Clear, I think I asked you this before on the phone. The case back design is actually not evolved as much, right? Because you sort of had this design.
Yeah, that's right. It's the one part of the watch, that hasn't really changed since the very first one was designed back in 7 years ago. So I actually haven't changed it at all. Some of the information around in the etched section has changed. Like the water resistance has gone up. The original one was 200 and this is 300 meters. But yeah, it's basically the same. I just think it's kind of a signature element of it, and I'd like to retain it. I think there'd be very little I'd change in that regard when we eventually do a revised. So yeah, I am in China visiting. It's my third trip. And yeah, I really like, as I was saying to you before we started, I love it more each time I come. I love meeting the people who create these things. That they've built these factories and workshops from the ground up, and they've learnt the craft. Often they've learnt it elsewhere, and they've come and innovated and started up their own place to do it on their own and end up being like really high end in their craft. And I love meeting them, and I love sort of seeing how they do what they do. And of course, they're very social and hospitable. They love going out for dinners and lunches. So, that's always on the cards. And that's one of the fun things about the visit as well, is because you get to go out and dinner and a couple of drinks and, and talk about the industry a bit. And yeah, it's an exciting time. And we've met a couple of new people this time, a new bracelet maker and a new dial maker. Of course, we will continue to sort of share work between our existing partners and the new dial maker. But the new dial maker is going to be making something for us for the mandala. So that's a bit of inside information that there will be some special edition mandala dials coming up as soon as we can get them done. But they've already commenced work on those.
Beautiful.
But I won't give you too much information about that. But
there has been previous special edition mandala dials. That's for the previous iterations that you have dropped. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you've got cooking over here. I wanted to sort of do a quick flash through of all the different upgrades from Mark II to Mark III, because I think it's quite significant, and I think it's good to people know it's significant yet familiar. So
yeah,
let's start with the hands. And
yeah,
I feel like the hands and the indices, they're just they're obviously visually different, but also in terms of the finish itself, it just looks like a bit more different, a bit more luxurious, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Well, we're using the dial maker who's making these now is another level above the one who produced for the Mark II. But the primary difference is just looking straight onto the watch. The hands, they're one of my nagging complaints and I know that for some people felt this way as well, was that the hands from the Mark 1 and the Mark 2 were just a little bit too sort of plain looking. I mean, they fulfilled their purpose reasonably well, but I was never 100% happy. The new hands are kind of broader and more kind of signature. I think that they make a bit more of a statement, and I think that they will be the hands that we keep for at least ongoing for quite some time. The other major change on the dial, of course, is the return to a similar index shape for the 12, 4, and 8. We've returned to how they looked, similar to how they looked on the original Gin Clear, and the major difference being is that at the 12 o'clock, there's a very subtle shape change. So 12 o'clock index, it flows out and then it drops down again. So it has two facets, and you'll see it more on, it's difficult to see on the white because it's black, but it'll catch the light. If you turn it over and you see it catch the light, it's actually quite difficult to execute because the way that the loom is applied, it was actually really difficult to get it to apply on across two surfaces like that without kind of some kind of join, actual visible join between.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
number
it's
12 indice is beautiful. It's easier to see if you're looking directly straight at the crown, as in if the crown's facing you and then you're looking and you can
yes,
see that sort of multi-level or multifaceted
yeah,
indice. It's very pretty, and
yeah,
like
and it
I
will
would
catch the
imagine
light.
very hard to, yeah, I
Yeah,
would imagine very hard to execute as well. Execute well, must say.
yeah, tricky. And the other one looking front on is that the non-numeric markers on the bezel, they have come, what's the word? Trapezoidal, is it? So slightly wider at the outer edges, very so slightly. So they're not just a rectangular baton with parallel sides. They're not parallel anymore. So that's changed shape as well from the Mark II. The other change is that the bezel itself is now polished.
I like
It's
that.
funny, just changing that one thing because it was brushed on the old one. Changing that one thing gives it so much more of a premium look, I find. And I wasn't expecting it to be that much of a change, but just getting it in hand and holding it next to the Mark II, you see that polished bezel really kind of plays on the light. And
Yeah, I think it works really well with obviously the bracelet with the mixed finishing of the brush and the polish.
Mm,
I think having
mm.
the bezel polish just sort of adds to the, a bit more of a statement. I think it moves away from I'm cautious to say it, but it moves away slightly from the sort of tooly dive watch to more of a I can sort of wear it in many situations. Dive watch, it's still nice to dress up. I can still wear it dressy.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's it. If I think about sort of similar offerings in the sort of mid-level luxury, well, and beyond, to me, they all would go for more of a, I mean, unless you're talking about a proper like tool watch thing like a Zin, or maybe a Damasco or something, they would have sandblasted or brushed. But I think when it comes to presenting it as a kind of a luxury diver, it's nice. The other major one, which isn't a visual one, it's a tactile and audible change, is the bezel itself. And it's actually a really important change for me. I never loved the bezel action, even though it was tight and there was no back play in the Mark II, but I was never quite happy with how it felt to turn and the sound that it made. And we switched to a much more expensive variant of the bezel mechanism, and that is ball bearings. So it has a number of ball bearings inside with springs that hold the ball bearings in place. And it just to turn it I'm doing it right now, just to turn it and feel that sort of tactile response, that tactile feedback. It's a pleasurable experience for me. I really enjoy that, and I love the sound of it. And I know that customers will, I certainly hope, and
I'm
I'm
sure
fairly
they
sure
will. Very satisfying sound.
it's good.
And the other thing that sort of popped out for me quickly is and I'm not sure whether this is much different from the Mark II, but it definitely, if you haven't had good hands-on time with the Gin Clear, is the crown. The crown is excellent. Is everything you want in a good dive watch. A solid,
Yeah,
grippy crown. I don't think it's
yeah.
changed, has it?
No, it's the same. It's the
Okay.
same style. Yeah, it's just important to be able to get hold of it and to not feel it slipping under your hands. And of course, there's it may not be aesthetically as pleasing as something very sort of polished and lots of different things, but I love the look of it myself. With the accent color line, I think that kind of sets it off. So yeah, it's great. Love that.
Yeah. It's a nice balance of beauty and dive watch. I mean, a lot of people would wear dive watches not in a diving context or a swimming context even,
Of
it's
course,
just
that
for
would
an
be most of
everyday
us.
wearing one. Exactly. So,
Yeah.
and I've had this watch for a couple of days now. I've also had so this dial variant is the Rhodium, am I saying it correctly? The dark Rhodium? Was it the Rhodium?
Dark rhodium, yep.
Dark Rhodium, yep. And then you've also got the Emerald, which is the other variant that I've had hands on as well, for the green. And then you've got these, I guess the classic colors, the Sunburst Black and the Arctic White. So the Arctic White and Black, I think you've had before, but Emerald and Dark Rhodium are two new colors that you've
That's
introduced.
it.
Why these colors as opposed to, I
Yeah.
guess you had previously had different colors, right? Pastels.
That's right. The other
and
two colors
oranges.
were Ocean Sunset Orange and the Pastel Blue. The Pastel Blue was the carryover from the original, and it may well make an appearance again. We're just going through kind of an extended redesign period for that. We are testing out some new materials and new finishing for it. So that one may emerge at another point if it works out. But at the moment, yes, the dark rhodium is really all about my love of grey, because grey is my favorite color. I don't know if you can even call it a color, but just the way it just blends in so beautifully, but it carries accent colors so well. Now, typically for me, that's a grey and an orange, and I've done lots of designs that feature that as a color scheme, and then I show them to people, and they're like, "Oh, that's not really for me. I know it looks nice, but So I don't typically bring a lot of those to life, but this one I just thought, you know what, with the matching bezel, it's like a natural combination, and it just sort of works without having too much sort of extraneous extra colors on it or anything. It just sort of, it's like, yeah, it creates a really nice effect that I'm happy
It's
with.
just right. It's just right. I like, the pop of red in, between the bezel, between the text underneath the Gin Clear, the atmospheres, the seconds hand, and also the crown, a little bit of red. It all just works really well.
Yeah.
And it's just enough color to not be completely wash, but also just makes the grey stand out. I love grey,
that's
as you can see, wearing a grey
grey
jumper,
can
so I'm all about it.
grey can actually have that kind of washed out sort of feel, but yeah, I think the little accent colors, it sort of works. And the green was, I've always wanted to do a really sort of classic emerald,
Mm.
and we did with the Mandala Mark I. We did sort of an emerald. It was a nice green with gold indices and gold hands, gilt, but
Yeah.
we hadn't done really one since. And I thought, it'd be really nice to try it. But there's so many green Pantones that you can use, and then when you get them on a dial, they just don't look quite right. And it's like, well, with this one, I really feel like we hit the right green. And then when that bezel clicked in, when we fitted that bezel into it after we, 'cause it's one thing to see them on a design screen or on a piece of paper, but once you get them in hand and you see that it all works, that was when I knew that okay, yeah, we're definitely launching with that one. We're going out with that one.
Yeah, beautiful choices there. Um, Another thing that popped out as well in terms of changes then is am I correct in saying that the movement now you're regulating as well to different
Oh,
positions?
we always,
You always
no,
done
we
that.
always
Okay.
regulated, but we had to switch. We were using the ETA 2824 for the Mark II, and the price of those just got out of hand. The access to them also was becoming more challenging. So we had to sort of let that go. But yes, no, we do regulate them. The only other major change, the one that was kind of bugbear for customers and for myself, because what bugs them bugs me, was the spring bar clearance. And we've fixed that now. As you can see, having this one on a leather strap, it will
Yes.
literally fit anything now, as it always should have, but it just didn't quite work out that way. And so now that's all sorted. So you can pop this on to leather, rubber, cloth, or whatever you like, or of course the bracelet if that appeals to you. And of course the bracelet is every bit as good or better in terms of its finishing than the original Mark II.
Yep. I do like that you've also, I mean, this is not super common, but just having quick release on the bracelet as well. So if people do want to swap out between, going to the office or going the ocean and you want to wear rubber or you want to wear leather. So yeah, it's just super easy to take off and put back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good to have on a bracelet, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing you'll notice, I mean, it was true of the Mark II, but you got to go up in price a long way before you'll find a bracelet where the polished links are polished top and bottom. So if you flip it over, you can see it's polished on the side as well. So anyone who's sitting and listening and watching, of course, you might have some dive watches. Go and look at them. And if they've got any polished links, report back to Praka how many of them polished on the inside of the bracelet as well as the top side. And most of the time, even at the higher end, they'll just brush the inside. So we do full polished links, which means someone has to sit there and individually hand polish each of those links in turn to bring them up. So yeah, it's a fun little thing that we do, but I like to promote it for the sheer reason that we're paying for people to go to that trouble for customers. I want them to know that they're getting something that's just a little bit extra that they may not be getting with even with their $2,000 Swiss watch or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think it's good to remind the listeners and your customers that these things are intentional. Yeah, it's not an accident that it is the way it is. And Peter's, been speaking to Peter for a while now, and he's every little detail is chosen or done the way for a reason. So it's not a coincidence that things lie where they lie. So it's always good to hear the background on why you make those decisions and seeing the end product in front of you.
It's nice to be able to talk about them too. I mean, I don't get very many opportunities to sort of, face with a potential audience. And most of the time, it's someone you send them a watch and they're reviewing it and they're publishing their review, and you don't know what they're going to say about it or whether they'll even recognize the technical elements of it. They'll recognize the brushing and polishing and the transitions between them, and they'll recognize the finishing level on the dial or whatever it might be. Sometimes it just comes down to, I like the way it looks, or I don't. If you're unlucky, I don't like the way that it looks, and then sort of that's all they're really focusing on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, there's definitely a lot to like about this, and I do really enjoy hearing all the little aspects that make the Mark III. Let's talk a little bit more about specs for those who not really sure about what the Gin Clear is even. So it's a 40 mil diameter case with a 41 bezel. So
yes,
the bezel sits outside. I think it gives it a really nice presence, but also makes it wear nice. 47 lug to lug, so nice and wearable. 12.2 mils, including the crystal. So it's super thin for a 300 meter dive watch. 20 mil lug width, so like Peter said, you can change it to anything that you want, and most people have all sorts of 20 mil.
Yeah,
It's in
drawers of them.
Exactly. So it's good. BGW9 loom. It's fantastic. I took this really cool loom shot. I don't know if I sent it to you yet, Peter. I will send it to you. It's pretty awesome. I'll send it to you. I took it 2 days ago. It was really cool. And the cool thing is as well, you've also got loom in the bezel as well. So it looks the business. And when it's all lit up, it looks awesome. And then obviously the new bezel, a ball bearing internal mechanism now instead of the click spring. You got the ceramic and the anodized aluminium bezel inserts that we just spoke about, and in terms of other things to talk about the bracelet, talk
Still
about
got the surface
clasp.
hardening, but we've upgraded that.
Yes, 1200 on the
1200
Vickers.
Vickers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's been upgraded, so it's now better than it was on the Mark II. We got a new supplier for that.
It's always good to have hardness coating on a watch, even if, most of these watches won't see a lot of action and the sort of desk diving, but it's always good to have.
Yeah, hopefully the clasp stays looking good for longer, rubbing you against your desk.
Yes. I get one of these little desk mats. They're great. But yeah, they look some quick specs. And really, this is a great looking watch. I mean, to boil it down, it's a fantastic looking watch. So first, thank you, Peter, for letting me get some hands-on time with this, and so that we can have a chat about the watch. I know this is a bit of a condensed version of what we normally would do when we discuss a brand and a watch. But for those who are interested, I will be putting the link in the show notes so you can go and buy this. So it is launching very soon. When is it launching, Peter, and where can we get it?
Yes, 22nd of May and 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And you can obviously get it directly from our website, particularly if you live in Australia or any country that doesn't have massive tariffs or whatever that might be. But yeah, it will also be available at our retail partners. Our primary retail partners are listed on the stockists page of our website.
Great. And this, I guess, the big one I wanted to say is that a lot of us, we do have a lot of listeners from the US as well. So Long Island Watch and Virage are your two US
Virage, that's right. Yep.
stockists, and in Europe you've got Chronofactum,
Yes,
Watch Bandit, Watch Gecko in the UK, and yes, then there's a few others. The rest of the world
Middle
as
East
well.
one, the Middle East one needs to change. That's a retail partnership that didn't flourish. And then there was another one that was reasonably short-lived as well. It's a hard market to break into. For the most part, they either buy the luxury watches at the high end of the market, or they're looking for really affordable watches that they can give as gifts. And because for us, our watches sit sort of somewhere in between that in terms of pricing, it will take another go to market them into that area and probably producing some special editions. But it's a good region to get into if you can. And some brands are finding success, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, you do see a lot of special editions. I think that's the way to go. But awesome, Peter. Thank you. Thanks for taking your time. I know you're busy. You're very busy visiting all these different partners in China. For those who have access to the second hour Facebook page, if you don't, I'll put a link in the show notes. Peter's been giving a bit of a insider view behind the scenes, what's going on, showing the different suppliers, and it's fantastic. It's really cool to see a brand going behind the scenes and saying, look, I'm peeling it back. I'm showing you guys, this is how we're making this. So yes, and I'm sure there's more.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I've got one to publish probably tomorrow. I try not to work too much on a Sunday, but I've got one to publish tomorrow where I take you through the incredibly large number of steps involved in just producing a case back. And from cutting the raw material out of blocks with these huge presses and then right through to sort of shaping and polishing and brushing and sandblasting the various elements. And then, so it's huge. And then tomorrow I'm going to a clasp maker. So their whole specialization is clasps. And they produce a new clasp that we've started using. We produced a whole batch of them. They're starting to appear on some of the mandalas and fusions, and it's a much slimmer clasp and beautifully made, nice engineering, just crisp clicks for the micro adjustment. It's fantastic to use. But yeah, it doesn't have a button. You just sort of push down on a plate and it moves. And it's sort of like pressure from the thumb and it moves back, and it's really nicely done. Yeah, so that's tomorrow, and we'll be posting about that as well. And I think if we have time, we may go to the hands maker the hands workshop. You spend hours in the car going to these places and coming back and then going to the next one. It's actually, and then you walking around these factories and workshops for hours on end, talking and taking pictures, and then it's actually pretty exhausting, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It must be exciting and exhausting all at the same time.
Yeah,
It
well,
is
that's right,
fantastic
Parker.
that you're,
It is
it is
exciting.
awesome that you're showing the, showing the customer, showing the audience, this is how we do it and the realities of it. I think there's always that allure, that sort of, what do you call it, behind the
Lifting the
curtain,
lid.
everything sort of
Yeah.
happens. Exactly, lifting the lid. So it's
if
nice to
people are
see.
interested, the Facebook group is Second Hour HQ. That's our sort of members only. So yeah, come across, answer the membership questions, and you'll be in and be able to see what's going on.
I will chuck that in the show notes as well so people can get in and join in. So, Peter, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time today and wish you all the best for the rest of your trip.
Thank you. All right.
Course.
Well, take care and have a great night.
Cheers. Thank you. You too. See ya.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. I hope you all had a bit of an insight into the Mark III. I sure did, and made me appreciate the watch that I'm wearing on the wrist a little bit more. It's always nice to hear about it, isn't it?
It's nice to have the brand's input. You get a bit of background and it gives you more understanding and it puts things into context. But I still have to say I'm a little bit annoyed with you, Praka.
Now, tell me why.
Because Peter sent us 2 watches to have a look at, and I snaffled the grey dial version because I like grey dials, and I gave you the green dial version because I was so nice and humble, and you made me swap with you.
I did. Sorry. You can have it back for a while before we have to send it back or whatever. Yeah, I'll give it back to you.
That's okay. No, it's been good to experience both, but I'm still actually a little bit unsure whether I like that grey dial version or the white better. I keep going back and forth between the two.
For me personally,
cool.
The Arctic White is the business. That's probably the best colorway in my opinion, followed by the grey dial, the dark rhodium. I think that's my next favorite. But yeah.
I'm hoping we can get some hands on with that white dial, maybe through Matt at Watchpoint. Maybe we get a little bit of a sneaky peek.
Correct. I hope so too. If you're into microbrands, indies, or vintage watches, you need to check out Watchpoint. Located in the heart of Melbourne, Watchpoint is more than a storefront. It's a true hub for the community. Get hands-on with brands like HZ, Formex, Second Hour, Lima, Vario, RZE, and Balzel. Plus, through their partnership with Time Only, you can now explore German indies from Zinn, Hanhart, Damasco, and Mueller in person. Not in Melbourne? No worries. Head to watchpoint.com.au to discover new releases, stay informed with editorials, and find your next buying guide. So stop by Shop 202, Level 2, 220 Collins Street in the Manchester Unity Building to find your next timepiece. Let us now move on to the next brand that we want to talk about. So this one's a bit different. I don't think there's many watch shows out there talking about this brand. So this is Adina watches. So Adina watches have been around for a while, since 1971. So that's Brisbane, am I correct in saying that? Or Queensland? Yep. And they make all sorts of watches. Funky stuff, gold and bedazzled watches. Yeah, just everything in between. Different watches. But they also make some, from what I would say, enthusiast-focused watches too. And it's really cool to see a brand, I guess, doesn't really get a lot of spotlight from the Australian watch scene. So I thought, hey, let's talk about them. So the first one I want to talk about is the Oceania Pilot's watch.
And it's such a perfect watch for me. It's right up my alley.
That's what I thought when I saw this. I was like, this is a James's watch. So look, it's a pilot's watch. It's got a nice coin edge bezel, really bold numerals, Arabic numerals, small seconds hand at the 6. Nice texture on the dial as well. I don't know if you can see it. It's like a fume green and brown dial with a nice texture on there. And I don't know.
And I love them. I love how then the sub-second that changes to that concentric circle. So you got that texture dial, and then the sub-second has that concentric circle. I love that sort of combination of textures. It looks very cool. And do you think that the numbers are applied? They look like they might be applied.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I'm zooming in. It does look like it's applied markers. Now, it just doesn't, I'm not sure if it says whether it is, say, watching that one, but it does look like it's applied markers. It's a lot of design that's going into here for your money. I mean, the strap looks great. It's a classic pilot style strap with the two rivets on either side. And also, I think the thing that really stands out to me, I don't know if you saw it, but I mean the price, 199 Australian dollars. That is really good price for a nicely designed watch. And from what they say as well, it has been built, so put together or built in Australia by Adina's watchmakers. So that's pretty cool, I think, for the price that you're paying.
And I guess having the quartz movement helps, but it's a Swiss Ronda quartz, which is nice. You get to see that. 100 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystal.
Sapphire crystal.
40. It is a 43 mil, but I think that, I know for some that's big, but it fits the design.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially this kind of design, it feels right.
Yeah.
And only 9 millimeters thick. So imagine how that sits.
Yeah, it would wear pretty well. Even for a smaller wrist, I think it'd wear pretty well.
I think, and because it has that real sort of World War II vintagey kind of coinage bezel kind of look to it, I think that would actually, it'd be something I'd like to see in person.
Definitely. So again, I thought it was something different considering that this brand's been around for a long time. It's nice to see there are a lot of microbrands like we spoke about that are coming out of Australia that are relatively new when you really think about it, and they are very enthusiast focused. So it's nice to see, I guess, a brand that's been there for a while showcased as well. We will leave the link in the show notes, so go check it out. They even have clocks. It's kind of cool. I don't know if you've seen them.
1970 model. I'm going to click on the clock now while we're here.
Yeah, 52 years, proper grandfather clocks. If you got a spare 12 and a half grand, you can get one of these. It looks pretty good. Anyway,
It's nice though to have a look at something that's been around for a while and brands that have been around a little bit longer like this, therefore then have such a range. It's not like a new microbrand that comes out with one model, two models, or they've actually got their established heritage stuff. Yeah, they've even got mantle clocks and things. Yeah, I wonder if that's kind of where they started in that sort of retro mantle clock things and then developed into watches over the years. And because how many people are selling mantle clocks that are mechanical at the moment that are new? And I've got one in my background, which was my grandmother, 100 years old. But
they produce 30,000 watches in Brisbane from their Brisbane factory. That's a lot of watches for a. Yeah, there you go, Adina, and I think
next time I'm over there, I might have to see if I can go do a bit of a showroom visit.
I think you should. Yes, definitely. We'll reach out to Adina and we'll check it out. All right, this one, I think you were very excited for this one.
I'm very excited. I think I saw a video of this one recently on Peter Costa's channel. I'm sure Peter did a video of this one. This is from a Melbourne brand, Ocean to Orbit, a brand that I know I've not given enough attention to, but when I recently visited Melbourne, I went and had to get some hands-on with them, but I didn't get hands-on with this one because it's a pre-release. It's the Himalayan project, and this makes me drool a little bit. And it's a Swiss-made Australian watch because it even says Swiss-made on the dial. It reminds me a little bit of the Christopher Ward came out semi-recently, only because of how the hands and the markers look like the big fat loom blocks, but it certainly doesn't then look like a Christopher Ward. They call it the Pure Tool Watch. So it's an Australian watch brand that's made in Switzerland that has a Himalayan link.
Yeah, it's Lumi cast. Lumi cast is what they're calling it. So yeah, casted sort of loom blocks. I think that's quite popular nowadays. So yeah, I can see why you think it looks similar to that Christopher Ward in that sense anyway. But
just
the case
that bold
really,
loom.
Yeah, the case is interesting. It kind of reminds me sort of like a Formex. I don't know why. It just has that sort of bolder sort of shape. It is grade 5 titanium, the whole thing. And so Ocean to Orbit, that's what we should probably say. So Ocean to Orbit is the brand name. They're an Australian brand who've been around for maybe 2 years off the top of my head. So they started off with the Lotzi, and then now they've gone to this. There's just the Himalayan project. It's the people that designed it. From what I recall off the top of my head, there are two people that work in the automotive industry. So they had a lot of design sort of prowess, I guess, and they wanted to make a quality product. And it is. I've handled I don't know if you've seen one of these in person. The previous model in Watchpoint. I think I checked it out, and it was like it's very
Quality of their
well
watches
made.
is very good. Yeah, it really stood out to me when I got to see them. This is why it's one of those brands, and there's quite a lot of them, unfortunately, that you just really want to get hands on. They like Formex, as you say.
Yes.
I always liked Formex, but when I started getting hands on with them, you just go, oh yeah, I get it now.
You
And I
understand.
think these guys are the same.
Yeah, it's 1,500 Aussie dollars, the previous model, on the steel bracelets. We're not talking about the higher end. And the Himalayan project is even more than that. We're looking at it was 2,195 Australian dollars, but it is very much like this pure tool watch play, isn't it? With the titanium, with the Lumi blocks, the design is just, it's not like a Garda style watch. This is made for the outdoors. And the cool thing about Ocean to Orbit is the previous model, they actually had someone famous. I can't remember exactly the person's name, but she climbed to that's right. Her name's Purnima. She did the heights of summit of Lhotse. Lhotse is a mountain, and I'm pretty sure it is almost as tall as Mount Everest. How tall is it? It is 8,000. No. Anyway, I'll get back to you on that one, but pretty tall. So there's this full story on how she went up and used this watch the whole time. It's not just a story, it's fact. She actually did this. She did the whole mission, to climb up there with this watch on her wrist, and right up at the top of the summit, she had it on. This was in 2022. So I just think we always talk about brands, trying to attach to different cool, expedition, or, like the went up to Everest, or, the first one up to space. So I think it's kind of cool that a microbrand did this. This is not some major brand that spent a lot of money to try and get. It's like, no, they obviously back it. And it's the same thing with the Himalayan project. So he attempted to summit. So who is this guy here? His name is he's a Mingma Sherpa David, and he K2. So Mingma David.
And where it's not as tall as Everest, but it's more deadly.
More deadly, yeah. God, more deadly. And yeah, he helped Nims Dai, who is this climber who was in this Netflix 14 Peaks documentary to get up there. So he was the Sherpa that was up there. So on his attempt to summit K2 for the 7th time in July. Jeez. And yeah, he's got it on his wrist, all right, and he's going up there. So that's cool. This is like, really testing your watch and doing something cool with it.
I could really see this one with living with me as well. This watch, it's the blue one, and the blue one that gets me, because it comes in a few different colors. It's like a fume blue, but then there's a bit of texture to it, sort of leading up to the markers as well. But then there's a sort of a blacky grey with some orange accents, and it's interesting that they've then gone sort of a pinky grey, which actually is,
it works.
Yeah, it kind of works. And then there's a nice sort of forest green type thing. And did you by any chance click on, it comes with two straps, there's like a nylon style strap. Did you look at the buckle that's on that nylon strap? It looks like it's designed specifically for this watch, but it's different. It grabs both ends of the nylon strap and folds them back into themselves, but then it opens up like a fully milled clasp, but then it has, you can see there's a registration of the design. So it's specifically made by Ocean to Orbit, but it looks nice, and it really fits in with this tooly design, and it's even like the clasp fits the head of the watch too, which is quite cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of thought into this. I think initially it kind of looks like like it's a field watch or something a bit different, but you look at it closely, that exactly like you said, that buckle,
a lot,
which is it's all titanium as well. Like even the rubber strap, the buckle is titanium. This nylon strap, that buckle system is titanium, and the cool thing is it's all coded to 1200 Vickers hardness coating as well. So it's not only titanium is light, it's also got the coating on it, so it's going to be more durable and, I guess, less scratch resistance. Because I know that titanium can scratch easily as well. So it's
And
nice to
I
have
know
that.
some of these things, like saying it has this, that, and the other, maybe a little bit of a salesy thing, but hardening is such an amazing thing to have. It's not a selling point of a watch, as in we're trying to sell the watches. This is something that's worth having. I wish every watch had more of this hardening stuff because it makes such a difference. Because I've had quite a few watches now with it, and it's amazing. Just those little tiny little marks here and there that you get even without thinking about it that don't appear when they have this hardening. But no, I'm hoping that gets pushed out into more watches as we go along. It's one of the technologies that I hope become standard.
Yeah, I agree. The hardness coding is, it's underselling. And yeah, good point. You're like, oh, it seems like a sales pitch. Guys, we're not getting paid for any of this stuff. Just the FYI, this is just something cool. That we're
Although,
talking
Ocean to
about.
Orbit, if you would like to send me one of these watches, I would gladly. I've just bought one of these pre-orders and you want to sell it secondhand at a good rate, please can you contact me?
That also works. That's funny. This is not sponsored stuff. This is just something cool that we've come across, and we really think it's a cool brand, an Australian microbrand, an Australian brand, really, giving it a go. So yeah, it's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing these in person, or at least some real life photos of this. So yeah, the pre-order has closed, so you won't really be able to get one. But I think they will have some stock in June, is what it says on their website. So
I was just thinking that I was so happy that it closed because it would save me $2,000.
yeah, but yeah, definitely a cool watch. Oh, and that photo of the loom looks super cool as well. It's like a superimposed. Yeah, it does. I can see why you said Christopher Ward. It does have that feel of that loomy bright.
It's only because that relatively new Christopher Ward came out with those real strong loom blocky, and it's a little bit reminiscent. Certainly not overlapping with it, but it's just I like it. I like this one.
It's super cool. Yeah. Well, I hope everyone had a great time looking at the links and scrolling through the watches while we're talking about them, because I think it's a bit of a showcase of what Australia's got and what Australia keeps bringing. And we haven't even touched on other amazing microbrands out there. And I guess before we sort of wrap up, I'll give a bit of a teaser. We've got a Western Australian microbrand, Houtman, who do their Pilbara dive watches, which are fantastic. I know you've got one. And you absolutely love yours.
I absolutely love it. It's one of my go-to. If I'm just need to throw a watch on, it's the watch that I grab. It's got the rock dial, they call it, which is up in the Pilbara, up in the north part of Australia. It's all very red dirt and a lot of iron up there, iron oxide, and he got a powdered form of rock and had it compressed into this dial, and each one's very different. And I absolutely love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's so unique. It's probably one of the most unique dive watches out there. So keep an eye on Houtman. I know they are dropping a version 2 of the Pilbara, of their dive watch, soon. So check it out. I will leave a link to Houtman's page, so when they do drop something, you'll be able to check it out. And of course, I think I can't not mention HZ as well. HZ Watches, a supporter of the show, friend of the show, a good friend, Matt. He is dropping a new dial variants of the HZ03, which was pretty exciting. And also they've got some pretty cool stuff coming out as well in the future. I can't give away.
He's got a collaboration coming soon, and that excites me.
Yeah. So there's a lot happening in that space as well. So again, I will drop a link to HZ's suite of watches. You can go check out. But yeah, I mean, we could really carry on. There's still a couple more. But I think for the purposes of this episode, we'll wrap it up, and I guess we'll go to our something interesting. Have you got anything interesting to share, James?
Well, I really wanted to find and think about something Australian, but there's just something else I wanted to mention because I've just watched it recently. I know you tend to gravitate towards talking about a TV show or a movie, and I do a bit as well. But I just watched that Hulk Hogan special that was on Netflix, and it was entertaining and interesting. It was a little bit sad at the end, I think, maybe. But I know I'm a child of the 80s, and Hulk Hogan was this superstar. And it wasn't as if I was really into wrestling either. In Australia, there's people that love wrestling, but it was just he was almost just like a superstar or a TV show star kind of thing of the 80s. And it was just interesting to learn about him. And I didn't even realize he then continued wrestling basically till when he passed away recently in his 70s. So he just kept going and going. And it's quite interesting, especially over here in Australia. We don't get to see some of the background stuff. Like he had his own TV reality show, kind of like the Osmonds,
Right.
That didn't come out over here. And it was just, yeah, he had a very interesting life, and because he was so super famous and at that time period, and then worth a watch. It was enlightening, entertaining, but showed some sides of things that I wasn't aware of, and it's interesting because being a kid of the 80s, where I sort of have these memories of the 80s and him, and overlapping this information now as I'm a bit older and relating it to my childhood memories, it was interesting.
All right. I will leave a link to the show notes and I'll definitely go and have a look for it too. So, yeah, awesome. I don't have a TV recommendation or show recommendation today. I actually have something that came across. So, shout out to the Overtime to Podcast community group. So if you haven't joined already, I will leave a link in the show notes. It's a WhatsApp group where we've got a bunch of people that have joined in and just, sharing photos and wrist shots and just having a general chat about watches. Some people have actually floated ideas through there as well, which is pretty awesome. And this, I will credit, it's from this page. So they were talking about a watch being magnetized, one of their watches being magnetized during travel. And we're talking about demagnetizers, they get these little machines, you can run it through and you can demagnetize. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Anyway, someone then posted an app and said, hey, you could download this app and give it a go, whether you see if your watch is magnetized. And I was like, what? A phone app to do that? Now, I have no idea how this works, and I should have watched the video before I'm speaking about it. However, can confirm it does work, is what two of the people that said, it does work, and you can actually check whether it's magnetized, which is insane. I don't know how that works exactly, but it does. I will leave a link in the show notes from Gadget, who is on YouTube, and he's the one who's tested this app out, and he basically has it's an older video, he said, which he basically went through and, how to check for magnetism, but he did use the app in super cool. I just couldn't, I was a bit like, huh? A phone app? I think it might save people a bit of, a bit of anxiety, like, oh no, my watch is running funny, or, it's something quick. You can just check it on your phone. You don't even need a magnetizer or whatever to check if it is magnetized.
That's amazing, isn't it? All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to have to give that a go as well, because I've actually got one of those little demagnetizers. And previously, it's like you get a little compass and you put it next to your watch and see whether it affects the compass itself.
Maybe that's similar to what it is then. Maybe that's what it uses. Maybe it uses
because there is an
internal
inbuilt compass in it. But is it actually a compass in the phone, or is it using
GPS or something? Who knows? Yeah, black box.
Maybe
we'll figure
the little gremlin that lives in the phone that does all the work. It's figured something out.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'll leave a link. Check it out. Before we wrap things up completely today, we have to talk about the Wandering Hours Watch Fair, which is something that's coming to Perth, Western Australia. So I know I have listeners out there in Perth, my home city, and if I haven't already spammed you with it, you got to join the show. This is coming the 30th of May, and there's going to be some epic brands, Microbrands. You've got brands coming from Watchpoint. You've got brands coming from Time and Tide. You've also got German brands as well. So you've got a huge range. I mean, I don't want to list through every brand right now. I'll leave all the links in the show notes so you can go check it out. But definitely, if you're in Perth, Western Australia, on the 30th of May, come and check out this event. It's going to be awesome. We will be there, both James and I, and we're looking forward to seeing everyone there. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great time.
We're giving out T-shirts saying, I met Praka. So, no, not really. Maybe we should get some stickers made up. I met Praka.
Oh, thanks. Good. Flick that in the video.
Yeah. I'll use that to wash my car.
Anyway, on that note, let's call it a day. Well, if there's nothing else, we'll leave it right there. Cheers. Thank you for listening to Overtime the Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. You can find us on our Instagram at Overtime the Podcast, at Kinda Average Watches, or flick me an email on overtimethepod@gmail.com. I appreciate your support and value your feedback. If you have any questions, suggestions, or topics that you would like the podcast to cover in the future, please hit us up. Until next time.